Review video, we're going to take a look at section 4.8 using the quadratic formula and the discriminant. So let's take a look at two questions. Let's take a look at number 38 and let's take a look at number 40. So in number 38, we have the equation x squared plus 4x minus 3 equals 0. All right, now this problem, let's see how we can do that. Remember, when we use the quadratic formula, I highly recommend identifying the coefficients. So a is 1, b is 4, and c is negative 3. Okay, after you do that, we then want to write the quadratic formula. So x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. We're then going to substitute in. So negative 4 plus or minus the square root of negative 4 squared, minus 4 times 1 times negative 3 all over 2 times 1. So we have x equals negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 16 plus 12 all over 2. And we have x equals negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 28 all over 2. So that's going to give us x equals negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 4 times 7 all over 2. So we have x equals negative 4 plus or minus 2 square roots of 7 all over 2. And then this finally simplifies. Now remember, when we're dividing out by the 2, that 2 has to be divided by every term in the numerator. Okay? So when you do that, you end up getting negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 7. And there are your two roots. Okay. Now, to take this a step further, if I asked you two things, I could ask you to find the discriminant, okay, or use the discriminant to find the number and type of roots. If that's the question, then remember, the discriminant is only the part underneath the square root. So for this problem, we have 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 3. So we have 28. Since that number is greater than 0, we know we're going to have two real solutions. Okay. Now let's take a look at number 40. So number 40 gives us the equation 6x squared minus 8x equals negative 3. Now, this needs to equal 0. So the first step we have to do is add 3 to both sides. So we have 6x squared minus 8x plus 3 equals 0. Again, identify your coefficients. So a equals 6. B equals negative 8, and C equals 3. This will hopefully help you not make a mistake. Write the quadratic formula. X equals opposite of B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. So we have X equals positive 8 plus or minus the square root of negative 8 quantity squared minus 4 times 6 times c, which is 3, all over 2 times 6. So we have x equals 8 plus or minus the square root of 64 minus 24 times 3 is going to give us, now I'm going to pull up my calculator here so I don't make a mistake. 24 times 3 is 72, all over 12. So we have x equals 8 plus or minus the square root of negative, so 64 minus 72, and that gives us negative 8 over 12. So we have x equals 8 plus or minus the square root, that's going to be negative 4 times 2 over 12, which equals 8 plus or minus 2i square roots of 2 all over 12. And then we can divide everything by 2. So if I divide by 2, I'm left with 4. That goes away to be 1, and that goes to be 6. So I would write my final answer as 4 plus or minus I square roots of 2 all over 6. And then again, analyzing the nature and number of roots. So b squared minus 4ac, just the discriminant part. So substituting that in, we have negative 8 squared minus 4 times 6 times 3. And we get negative 8. Since negative 8 is less than 0, we know we're going to have 2 imaginary roots. And that is that section.